Heyo! So recently I finished porting the Replay Intensifies mod over to BepInEx, so now it's on the Thunderstore. This mod was originally created by Fault, and it's a pretty extensive mod. It does a lot. The whole thing about Replay Intensifies is that it allows you to, well, kind of go crazy with replays and change almost just about anything that you would want to change about replays. To kind of make them more interesting. One of the more obvious things that it does is if you pop over to your replay settings, you might notice that there's a lot more space in this slider. So by default, this mod changes the cap from 20 to 1000. Now you might never ever want to load that many replays at once, but if you did want to do something that insane, you could. I'm gonna set mine to 35 to kind of just show how that looks, but I don't really recommend it. The game does cap it at 20 for a reason. Going higher than that starts to hurt your frame rate a little bit. So if you don't have a good computer, you probably don't want to do this to yourself or to your computer. Also, something to note, I wasn't able to port everything that this mod had. There's a few menu things that it does that I wasn't able to translate over to BepInEx. So if you're familiar with how the mod originally looked and how it organized itself, it's gonna look a little different, and I'm sorry about that. I might be able to fix that in the future, but for now, I'm just gonna showcase what this mod does, because there's a lot. It does a whole lot, and I want to show what it does as quickly as I can, because it's going to be a lot to go over. So I'm going to pop over to Storm 2. So that loading bar right there, it's going by pretty fast. That's because I already have all of these replays downloaded. If you had to download a bunch of new replays, and you had it set to a pretty big number, that loading bar might take a little while. Anyway, I'm going to show right now that I do indeed have 35 cars. All racing at once right there. Kind of hard to tell, they're all bunched up right now, but that's 35. Or 35 cars just chilling out right there. Alright, so, first things first. This mod allows you to change how the ghosts look as you're racing them. So if you ever wanted to, turn off the outlines entirely, well, you can. You can just turn off the outlines on ghosts. And let me just restart. Now the outlines are completely gone. Don't even see them. You'll still see things like, the thrusters coming out of the cars. You might see the boost flames. Yeah, see, there they go. But you're not going to see anything else. You'll see the wing trails, see the horns, but yeah, nothing else. So if you ever wanted to do that, you could. And another thing that you can change is how the cars even render at all. So when you're in an online multiplayer server, you might notice that the ghost cars, like for the other players, they actually look a little different. So if you want the cars to act like how they would in an online multiplayer server, well, you can. Just keep a note that this is also going to turn on the sounds for the other cars as well. And if you have a lot of cars loaded, well, that sound can be a little excessive. See all that ambience? That's the sound of like every single one of these cars all at once. So it's a little loud. It can overpower the sound of other sounds in this game. Like you couldn't even hear the boosts coming out of a lot of these cars. That's just how it is. But yeah, all these cars are rendering how they would in multiplayer. That's neat. All right. Let's go back to the mod settings. So you might have noticed that there's also the replay option here. So the difference between networked and replay is that in networked, if you get really, really close to another player's car, it's going to like fade out a little bit and kind of render how it would like a ghost. They'll kind of like fade out to just their outline. But in replay, that doesn't happen. They will stay fully rendered at all times. I'm not going to showcase that just for time, but That's the main difference between networked and replay. That replay is fully rendered at all times, and networked will kind of make them fade out into an outline if they get close to you. Alright, I'm going to set them back to ghosts. Actually, no. No, I'm going to set them... I'm going to keep them at network, so I can showcase a few other things while I'm here. So for this option, the level of detail... So if you want to... If you're having trouble with, like, you know, your frame rate, and you kind of want to render the cars at a lower level of detail, you could set the, you know, maximum level of detail to spec. So just to quickly explain what these words even mean, the game renders the car at different levels of quality depending on how close it is to the camera. So if the car is in focus, this is how the game renders like the car that you're driving. So, you know, you're going to see every single animation on that car. You know, you're going to see the thrusters come up, you're going to see the boosts go off, you're going to see, you know, the car screen show up as well. You're going to see everything. But if the car is farther away from the camera, then it might lower what it's going to show. It's going to lower the quality of the car's animation. So the lower you go in this menu, the more animations that it turns off. So once you get to spec, the car essentially stops animating. Like, I think the wheel stops spinning, the wing animations don't go off as much anymore, the boost animation doesn't even happen sometimes. The car is just like a rock. Doesn't move. Well, I mean, it does move, obviously, but you know, you're not going to see any of the fancy animations at all because the game is treating it as if it's really, really far away, so it's not going to show all of the quality. So if you're having trouble rendering a lot of cars at once, you could try to change the setting to make the performance a little better. And you can also change the minimum level of detail as well. This is just so, you know, if you want all the cars to be animating and your computer can handle that, well, then you could do that if you want. But I'm going to leave the settings the way they are for now. So, skipping past some of these, I want to show that this mod also allows you to randomize cars. You can do that. So, I'm going to just show that real quick. So I actually have custom cars installed as well. So when you randomize the replays of, you know, all the vehicles and stuff, you can, if you have custom cars, then those cars will now show up as the custom ones as well. So just to showcase that right now, I have a lot of different custom cars installed, so now they're all there. Everybody's car has become a completely different one. So if you want to kind of change that, well, now you can. Alright. So I'm going to turn that back off. I just wanted to show that you can do that. You can actually mess with how it randomizes the cars quite a bit. So I had to set it to online replays to make sure that it actually randomized all of the online replays that I downloaded. If I had it set to local, it's only going to randomize my local replays. So all of the cars that said Tribo, or I guess there's only one car that said Tribo in that group, that's the only one it would randomize. And you can also change the kind of like how it randomizes it. So if I had always random on, then every single time I restarted, it would re-randomize everybody's cars. But if it's just by replay, then it's only gonna randomize it once, and then it'll leave it alone. Actually, no, that's not how it decides. Or is it? Is that how it decides? Hold on, I might be stupid. Let me test that. Retesting in the video. Let's go. So yeah, let me restart because I'm pretty sure it re-randomizes what cars are there. Yeah, it sure seems like it's different. Oh, wait. It actually unrandomized it. Hold on. Oh, it's because it's on... I only had it on local, so, like, of course. Duh. It's not gonna randomize the cars if... Oh my goodness. So, yeah. Look at that. See that set of cars? They're all different. Okay. Cool. Now, we're gonna restart again. See if it's different now. Just to make sure. Yeah, okay. It's different now. Yeah, if I had it set to by replay, it wouldn't do that. Alright. I just wanted to make sure I was correct there. I know this is going to extend the length of the video. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure. Alright, I'm going to turn off the randomization. We're not going to worry about it right now. So, another thing to showcase is all relevant to the leaderboard menu. So to go over what these settings are, so you might have seen use max selected replays. So this is relevant to the leaderboard menu. If you have this toggled on, then this slider right here will now determine the amount of replays that you can load from the leaderboard. So right now I have it set to 50, so this means I can select up to 50 replays and it will load every single one of them. So, I mean, let's just showcase that right now. I'm gonna pop over to the main menu. And let's go into the leaderboard. So now, I could select like 50 of these replays. I'm just gonna speedrun selecting them. Boom. That's a lot of replays. Now, I could choose to view all of them at once. I didn't actually choose 50, but you know, the cap was at 50. Now it's gonna download all of these replays. Some of them I already have downloaded, so this bar is moving quick. And I can view them all at the same time. See, I'm gonna like flip through them really quick. That's a lot of them. So now I can do that. So another thing, you notice how I just paused right there. So you can actually set it so when you're in this replay mode, you can actually change it so it pauses like right at the start. So if I have this toggled on and I restart this replay, it's going to be paused. Now the timer's not even moving. So if you have like a really short level, or maybe you're going to be like stepping away from the computer for a bit, and you don't want it to move, but you want it to load, well, you can. This is good if you're like doing something like capturing like a ton of replays at once and it's going to take a while to load. Well, you can have it pause at the start, so it's a bit easier to then record all the replays if you want to. I keep going into that menu. That's not the menu I need to go into. Okay. So I'm not going to go over like every single option. I'm just going over like some of the important ones. So see this right here, this slider. So you can actually change the amount of replays that display in the global leaderboard. By default, the game only displays 1,000 of them, but if you want, you could actually go way above that. So I can't really showcase this in Storm 2 because I don't think there has been more than 1,000 people who have beaten Storm 2, but I'll give it a check. I'm gonna set it to 2,000. Hold on, just give me a sec. Boom. All right, 2,000. So I'm gonna go back to the main menu. I'm gonna go to Chroma and show this because you're not gonna be able to see this in Storm 2. I'm pretty sure. Oh nope, there's more than. All right, never mind. I'm underestimating how many people are playing Distance still. Or sorry, there was like a moment in time where Distance was experiencing like a drought, and there was like genuinely less than 1,000 people playing. Anyway, yeah, now there's more than 1,000 people showing up in this menu, which is neat. You know, somebody spent 7 minutes on Storm 2. If I set the cap to be even higher, I could probably find out what the slowest time on Storm 2 is, but don't worry, Yegowara. You can do better. I believe in you. Anyway. Another thing that you might have noticed, there's a bunch of things that was in the settings that I didn't even go over. So I'm going to go over it right now, because it's probably the most interesting part about the Replay Intensifies mod. Is the Steam Rivals. What is Steam Rivals? Well, I'm going to enable that real quick, and also enable highlighting rivals and leaderboards. And it'll give you an idea of how it works. So, let's see. Excuse me. So if I were to, go into Storm 2 right now, you might have noticed that there's now a new button at the bottom of the screen called Add Rival. So just going through like my Steam friends right now, I can set a lot of these players to be my rival. So I can select Orbit Crush as a rival, and now they're highlighted in purple. I can set J2A as a rival, Orbanize rival, Linguist, Flounder, California, Tower. I could set all these people to be a rival. And when these ghosts show up, when I race them, I can now like make it so they look different when I race against them. And they'll also show up as highlighted in this leaderboard as well. It's just that they're all like faster than me. So yeah, there's Orbit Crush. Orbit Crush is now purple on this screen. So I can actually make them show up differently when I'm racing against them. So let me show what that looks like. So I can make it so the rivals, they can show up as a... that's not the setting I should be doing. Rival car style. Yeah, so they show up as a networked car. So if I had everybody set to a ghost car, so they only show up as an outline, the rivals specifically would show up as a networked car instead. So let me go to here. I'm going to set these cars back to ghost. So now you'll be able to actually like visually see the difference between a rival car and a ghost car, a normal ghost car. Also, you can make it so the rivals settings also apply to your local replays. That's what this toggle is. I'm not gonna have that on because I don't care about that right now. You can also change the outline brightness of a rival. So I'm actually gonna have it set to like, 6.62. Just so you can tell that the outline brightness of a rival is actually stronger than normal. Alright, so let's go back into these menus, go back to Storm 2. So I'm gonna try to choose people who are like generally around where I'm at. So there's Orbit Crush right here, Babies for Life, then there's me, Div, Levinov, Jackson, Pines. So you'll see that the cars that aren't my rivals will actually show up differently. I'm actually gonna load some of the ones from here as well, so you can really see. I think they'll all be selected, right? Yeah, they're still selected. Okay, good. So now I'm gonna race these ghosts. And all of the ghosts that are my rivals will now be rendered as a network car, while all the normal ghosts will stay a normal ghost. Here we go. I'm gonna load in. I'm gonna move away. You can kind of clearly see some of these cars are highlighted and some of them aren't. They have a brighter outline as well. Actually, I still have no outlines for all the normal cars, so I only really see my rivals. Is that neat? That's a neat thing that you can do. Now, if you want, you can make it so the rivals get randomized while all the other cars don't. So I'm actually going to bring back outlines for the ghost cars so I can showcase this a little better as well. So we're going to turn on the randomized cars again and only have it for local replays, I guess, just to make sure that they don't all randomize. And then I'm going to make it so the rival cars also get randomized. Alright. I'm going to restart this, So every card that's like highlighted and fully rendering, or not really fully rendering, but you know, every card that's highlighted is now going to be like a random card. So again, I have a bunch of custom cards loaded, so they're going to look clearly different. Isn't that neat? It's a neat thing you can do. All the ghost cards, they stay ghost cards. They stay what they are. But all the rivals, they're different now. And if you need cars to kind of use all of their animations properly, I think this only really matters for some custom cars have like custom animations and stuff. I believe, I actually haven't really tested this, but I believe that you'll have to make it so the max level of detail can be in focus. And if you want to make sure that they never turn off their animations, then you're going to want the minimum level of detail to be pretty high as well. Just to make sure they like always play their animations and whatnot. That's only relevant for like custom cars that have animations. At least I believe so. I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, then I'll mention it in the comments of the video. But yeah, you can do that. And you can also, you know, make the colors be randomized as well. I mean, obviously, that's in here. Right now, it only randomizes based on the presets, but you can have it set to something like RGB to make it so, you know, it actually uses the full it's the full color RGB spectrum. This isn't really going to be like showcased super well, but you can do that if you want. Now, like the colors are randomized as well, like, but if you don't want to do that because, you know, like this kind of changes the identity of the players you're racing against, then I can understand if you don't want to randomize the cars, but, you know, that's why it's an option. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much everything that Replay Intensifies does. Obviously, there's a lot more that you can mess with, there's a bit more things you can do, but that's most of the important bits. My favorite option, honestly, is the Steam Rivals thing. I just think that's really cool that you can actually change the I guess significance of some of the cars that you're driving against. You know, you can make it so certain people are important. If you have somebody that you really want to make sure that you beat in the leaderboards, then, you know, you can set them as a rival, and whenever they show up now as a car that you need to beat, now you can make sure that they're highlighted, that they're an important car that you gotta beat. Alright, and really that's about it. That's all I really need to talk about. At least I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I went over everything. Also, to just repeat, not every functionality that was in the original mod is in this version of the mod. There's a few things that I just couldn't quite port properly, so I just didn't. One of those things is the weights values of the randomization. Before in the original mod, you were able to, you know, have sliders that adjust the likelihood of certain cars showing up. So if you didn't like a certain custom car showing up in the randomization, well, you could lower their weight to make sure that they couldn't show up at all, if you wanted to. But that setting is no longer there. But if you do want to change the car weights, the file is saved onto your computer. If you know how to open up the mod settings into your open the mod folder, and go to the settings manually, you could open up the file and adjust it from there if you want. But other than that, that's really all I needed to showcase. So, if this interests you, if you want to use the Replay Intensifies mod, it's now in a Thunderstore. You can use it. If there's any bugs, you know, of course, let me know. I'll try to patch them out if I run into them, but it should work just fine. Alright, so that's it. Go enjoy the mod. Or don't. I'm not your mother.